My name is Millicent Otieno. I work with Local Capacities for Peace International. I am a peace practitioner, and also we work on security matters, especially community policing and community securities. So now today, I'm here to talk about this big issue of coronavirus. Yeah, why? You know, I was out the other day, and I was all panicky and fearing, having seen on social media what was really happening, and having read really some of the effects of the coronavirus way from Wuhan to Italy to other spaces of the world. And so in Kenya, we were told we need to be careful, and especially after it was announced that some of the people who had traveled back home had the symptoms of coronavirus. So I thought that the message the government has been putting out about, you know, people not greeting each other, keeping social distance, no hugs, no handshakes, I thought it meant something. But to my dismay, it didn't mean anything to some of the people, or rather it didn't change their behavior. It probably meant something for them, but the habits that they always have, they kept on greeting each other, handshaking, hugging, and it made me really scared. I was panicking, and I thought to myself, is it that they have not heard the right information, or maybe they just mistrust the carriers of the message that they heard? And yes, of course, there are several conversations, and I talked with some people and said, you know what, if it comes from the government, people will not trust it because we have a mistrust issue. So this trust deficit was one of the things that immediately came up in our conversation. And I was like, yes, of course, there's a trust deficit, but remember, this is about your life. So it's not about the carrier of the message. It's more about the warning that we really need to listen. And yes, things have changed. A couple of days have gone by, and of course now there was a curfew imposed by the government, and people are supposed to go home on time. But even before that, some of the memes, you know, made really this issue not seem as heavy or as weighty as it should be. Some of the jokes, and I was like, my goodness, really, this is our coping mechanism? We joke about things? But I was not able to laugh about coronavirus jokes because it really weighs heavy on my heart. Why does it weigh heavy on my heart? Because I had a conversation with some of the people from where I come from in Kisumu County. And I realized that just like in Nairobi, so many people took these memes and jokes and myths and actually believed them. And so, for example, somebody said, no, Kisumu is too hot. I can't get coronavirus because it can't withstand the heat. I'm like, what? Okay, where did you get that from? From the jokes, of course. And then there were also other issues of, no, as long as I don't board the plane, it only comes with those who are coming from abroad. And then before we knew it, there was actually a labeling. And finally, the people from the rural areas started saying, Corona is only for the people who are in Nairobi. Nairobi people don't come home because you will be bringing Corona. So we see a stigmatization of sort already happening, and that terrifies me. Why? Because we have always pulled together as a nation to fight together, to conquer together. And so we should think, how then do we devise or trace back our steps to solidarity and finding meaningful ways of supporting each other through this crisis of the pandemic? And yes, Local Capacities for Peace International has been working with different stakeholders. And when we were called upon by some of our partners, the peace committees, the community policing, including the security sector itself, they said, we need some support. We need somebody to explain some of these things, because most of the explanations were in English. So we have been able to translate the material from the World Health Organization into a language that was easily understandable by our people. And we didn't even think about it when we did it. But my goodness, the immense appreciation from the communities, because now finally they got something that they could understand. So we encourage many people, as many as possible, to translate the material in a language, in a local language that is easily understandable, so that the people can actually now finally engage with not just jokes and memes, but concrete factual information about the disease. Because in doing that, you will be helping them to save their lives. You will be helping them to understand why it is important to wash the hands, and not just wash the hands, but even how to wash the hands. The steps of hand washing, and not just because they need to do it, because it's a good thing to do, but not only is it good, it also helps to prevent somebody from getting the virus. And so, as we continue with the education, we're asking ourselves, is it going to change the behavior of the communities? And you know what? As an organization, we decided that we don't have to change the whole community. But if this information can preserve one life, that means we shall have preserved many lives, because we know that if one person in a family is affected with coronavirus, chances of the whole family being affected are so high. And so that's why we continue with our education through the material that we have translated in the Luo language, and also through the radio talk shows that we have conducted. So then, my experience has shown us that changing behaviors is not a one-day event. It's a process. And because of that, sometimes you have to go out of the norms, because some people want to start washing hands, but they don't have hand washing basins. So as an organization, we have been helped by some of the volunteers, and we got donations to distribute hand washing basins. We also were able to promote the women who are always they make the soaps at home. And so we were glad that this was also able to empower some of those women. Through the soap making processes, we were able to buy bulk, 30 liters of soap and more. And that way, we were able to put food on the table for these women. Why do I bring the issue of food on the table for the women? Because you know what, in our context, sometimes whether the man leaves the money home or not, when he comes home, he wants the food. And so women have to work hard. And remember, we are being told to stay at home, not to work. For those of us who feed from hand to mouth, how will you stay at home, not work, and still be able to feed? Some people have even said, hunger will kill me before corona kills me. And these are some of the myths that we want to demystify. Please, don't oversimplify things. We are saying, take the precautions, use the instructions given by the government and the World Health Organization. Listen to information that is constructively helping you to shape how you live your life. There must be a paradigm shift in our day-to-day lives. And as I say this, I wanted to help us to understand that yes, you can do everything you can, but we believe in a higher being. The God that we serve will come through for us, but you must do your part. The hygienic conditions and all the others that you have to observe, please observe them. Social distancing, please do. For our community, please, curfew time, go home. And the police are really trying to keep us safe. But I know that there have been incidences that are also not very pleasant, and that we must condemn. But what we are saying is we've seen a trend that some of the criminals are taking advantage to go and break into people's houses to steal. When people are really now in a state of panic, you compound it with rising criminal incidences. This is just not a very good sign. For those of us in peace, we say the early warning signs are not good at all. One thing that we've also observed, and it was very interesting, a friend of mine just called and said, you know what? Cases of domestic violence is going up. The more the men stay at home with their women, it's a blessing in disguise that the women are happy with their spending time with the family, but the men are getting stressed. Oh, men, I am asking you, please, we can find meaningful ways of dealing with stress. This is what we are trying to promote. We are saying this is an opportunity for dialogue. This is an opportunity to get together. And remember, as you protect yourself and preserve your life, you'll be protecting the life of your children, your wife, and those that are around you. So as we think about this coronavirus, please remember, Your safety is important because your safety is everybody's safety. Ubuntu, we're together.